What's going on? How's everybody? Hey, DeVore Live, all things Jacksonville business, real estate, and lifestyle. Coming to you live and direct from downtown Jacksonville, Florida. DeVore Live is brought to you by DeVore Media and sponsored by the DeVore Capital Group, which is a multi-service construction real estate development group of companies. Some of our core services are roofing and real estate. Whether you're a homeowner or business owner, you got a leak or need a replacement, hit us up at DeVoreCapital.com. Or if you're in real estate, our real estate wing is called DCRE. It's a niche brokerage that caters to the real estate investor who actually is also a real estate license holder. If you are in real estate, a seasoned investor, or you're just looking to get in and you currently are licensed, please hit us up and get more information. We got a jam-packed agenda today, guys. Some of the stories we're covering: property tax in Florida, is it going to get eliminated? Big question mark. DeSantis had some interesting things to say about that. We're talking about a brand new life plan community down in Nocatee, coming in at a tune of $134 million with a massive buy-in up to $1 million just to be able to go in there and pay rent. Yeah. We're talking about
we're about to lock in on that.
Kind of the trends in real estate commissions since the NAR settlement that happened last year. Some good information of what's happening with that. A recent poll put on by UNF shows that Florida residents are prioritizing housing and insurance costs for the next go around in the cycles. And our last story, DeSantis wants to lower auto and home insurance. So good things about that. But to my right, I got the man himself, Wes Deason, aka Diamond Deason. Wes does everything in the company, but more importantly, he's the head of what we do with our roofing services. Across the way, we got Will Reed. He is the host of the I Am Will podcast. Will wears many hats: construction, development, real estate, lots of other things. And then the man himself, Athanatu Faman, aka Moon Man.
Hey, Moon
Man.
Moon.
Right. I just learned that this week. Did you know he goes by Moon Man?
Not know that.
So I think we all got a nickname except for Will. We got Moon Man, we got Diamond Deason, we got Free.
We got Will.
We got I Am Will.
Yeah. And yes, I am Free Scott DeVore, aka Free, aka Scott Free. I don't think anyone has called me Free other than E. I don't think Will's ever called me by my nickname.
Free.
Oh, yeah?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes free.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
Getting away scot free. You know.
How's everyone doing? It's been a week.
Been a week.
What has happened the last week? Will was gone last week. He's back now.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone been
still
good?
want my lunch. I did win.
Oh no, we
did.
said you wanted to win the Super Bowl bet. You had to be you had to you had to show up.
Yep.
Yeah, you had to be present to win.
You can't add rules to the game after the winner has been crowned.
You had to be present to win, and you weren't present, so you have lost your
We'll get you
winners.
some Jimmy John's, some Freaky Fresh, Freaky Fast, We'll get you some of that.
Yeah, but it's cold and rainy here in Jacksonville, Florida.
Beautiful
Behind
day.
us, you would normally see, I don't know what the visibility is, but you can see Everbank Stadium, you can see the river and everything. It almost feels like winter has come back. It was getting pretty nice in the 80s, and now it's in the 50s this week.
Beautiful.
But yeah, you love it. You love this weather.
Yeah, love the cold weather.
Something
love the rain.
Yeah, because we'll be sweating here in no time. So
100%.
Hey, but we got some cool events going on in Jacksonville. So professional bull riding coming to the arena.
Yeah.
They're making their stop. I think they come every year to Jacksonville. Has anyone ever been bull riding before?
Bull riding? No, I've not been bull riding.
I have ridden a bull.
You have ridden a bull, like a
find out,
live
Will.
one or the mechanical one that you put like quarters into?
Well, done both.
Okay.
But we have I have done live bulls. Growing up on the west side of Jacksonville, you have the opportunities to do different things, unique things that you don't necessarily get in maybe New York City. Yeah, it's I wouldn't do it now. Yeah, I mean, if I blow out my shoulder on a bounce house, definitely not gonna get on a live animal.
Are there places to go to? Like today, can I go bull riding?
Yeah, you could. There, like as a kid, the landscape has changed, but we had friends that had farms and had those things, and we would go and hang out.
There's got to be a mechanical bull in Jacksonville somewhere. There used to be. I know the Landing had one. I could have sworn I was somewhere in the last 15 years around here somewhere that had a mechanical bull. I don't know. It's always fun to watch people do that. There's got to be a bar or something that's got one.
If you're
in there, but
committing right now, I will find one.
you'll find one.
And I
If
will-
I
I will
write a
take
bullet
you
and we'll
there,
put it
yeah.
out on the show. All right. I don't
Let's
know
get
about
it.
that. You know, I'm a little old for that now, but I've been to the rodeos before. I've been to Cheyenne Frontier Days when I was a kid. We'd go every year, and I've seen George Strait. I've seen Garth Brooks. So the concerts are great at those kind of things. The bull riding is cool. Obviously that's like the steal of the show. You know, the headliner, if you will. But man, it's cool to watch. It's something else, man. Those guys are those bulls are serious. Did you ever what's that movie? It's 8 seconds. Did you ever watch that?
Oh,
The
yeah,
Lane,
man, that brings back memories.
Lane, what's his last name? Anyway, the Lane, gosh, can't remember his last name, but the story about him, he died on a bull at Cheyenne Frontier Days, as a matter of fact.
Where is Cheyenne Frontier?
It's in Cheyenne. Yeah.
I don't know where Cheyenne.
You know, Colorado, Cheyenne,
Okay,
or
I'm not
Wyoming.
from
It's
there, bro.
Wyoming. Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Okay.
It's right above
Wyoming.
Colorado.
I was gonna say
It was
Wyoming.
like 60 miles from where I grew up in Fort Collins. So
You ever Fort Collins?
CSU, yeah, Colorado State University. Go Rams.
Hey.
Yeah, but yeah, no, man, it's awesome. So I would love to go to the PBR, man. That's great. We got
All right, well, February 23rd. I think it's Sunday.
that'd be
And
sweet.
I've been to a rodeo before when I got out of college. So in Western Maryland, where I grew up, they don't have bull riding events, or at least I don't think there's any. But when I got my first job, I ended up in Southeast Texas, and this is before I was married, and I was just like meeting people, going out, and sure enough, man, I started getting invited to these bars with like live bulls in them. I don't even know if it's technically a
Live
rodeo.
bulls?
Yeah, like live bulls, like people like just hanging out, and you can go hop on the bull and like run
That's
and get on and do
crazy.
laps. They had mechanical bulls too. You know, this is like Beaumont, Texas area.
Yeah.
It was insane. I never did it, so I can't say that. You know, it wasn't a bucket list item, so I was okay for not doing it. But it was insane. But man, we got another cool event going on. So downtown Jacksonville, they got the Downtown Jacks Gala.
Let's go.
That's February 28th, so that's next week. This is where kind of it's like the premier event for what's going on with the development. A lot of business leaders, a lot of people who are just has big ties in the community is going. We got a few people going in the company. We're excited about it, and it's a theme. So it's like a kind of a black tie event, but you got to add some swag to it, like construction swag. So I was on Amazon and I found myself a little tie that has like a screwdriver, hard hat, measuring tape. I'm gonna look like a 5-year-old kid, but I'm gonna rock this tie with some yellow suspenders, and that's gonna be
He's gonna rock.
that's gonna be
He's
the
gonna
extent
rock
of
it.
my swag.
Wes, what you wearing?
Man, we got a DeVore hard hat.
You wearing a hard hat?
I might wear my suit jacket with a tool belt. We'll see. You know, maybe slap on some caution tape or something. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
do
that's
that to my
cool.
wife. I was gonna put her in caution tape, but
Okay.
Y'all
hey,
do
if you
that in
are
the
at the
privacy of
DT
your house.
Jacks and you're seeing this show, come search us out. Come say hi for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna be represent. You know, we're gonna bring some the AV equipment, take some good footage.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk to other business leaders while we're there and just get a beat for what's happening in downtown Jacksonville and all that. But one other event I want to mention is on February 22nd. There's an event going down at Murray Hill Theater. We have a kind of Christian rock and roll event with Joe Nestor
Yeah.
coming in. Joe Nestor is a big name in the space, but yours truly, DJ Scott Free, is going to be unretiring from DJing. I'm going to be playing Christian hip hop set, some of the best tracks in Christian hip hop right now. And I got Moon Man going to help me. Moon Man's he's going to be on the mic and helping me with the set. We're going to make
It's gonna be a
live.
good time.
Yeah, it's
You
gonna be
know,
a good event.
first like I think live appearance. You know, so gonna make it a show. It's gonna be a good time.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Well, I want to get into this topic or this story here. So DeSantis, he supports the idea to eliminate property taxes. So Ron DeSantis, he calls property taxes oppressive, but acknowledges it will require a constitutional amendment. Critics warn that this could cut funding for essential services like police, fire, and schools. Alternatives include corporate tax reforms or adjustment to high-value property taxes. So as I was looking into this article, the majority of the state budget is covered by sales tax. But for services like schools, police, and schools, that's usually in the budget that's being paid for by property taxes. What do you guys think of this move? And I want to know your thoughts because I have some pretty interesting thoughts on this. But what do you guys think?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts on the
For sure.
topic. One, when you replace a tax, right? Because that's what you're doing. You're not removing. You're going to replace it with something else. So there will be an additional sales tax that will be put in place. Like there's no way to do it. The funding's got to come from somewhere. I would be in favor of it if it's done properly and not done in an oppressive way, because then it puts the community responsible for paying for the schools that are in their community. It's not just a homeowner paying for the schools. It's not just the homeowner paying for the police and the fire and the essential services, right? It spreads it out. What you have is a current system where sometimes people feel like there's no rhyme or reason behind the assessment, right? So you could be in your home for 10 years and get assessed and your taxes get raised incrementally. But you could be subject to your neighbor selling their home, taking their equity, right? Now the value is higher. So if they reassess the neighborhood because there's a lot of transactions that take place, you just want to live there for the rest of your life, you know? But are you really truly owning your home if you're continuously taxed on that home until the day you pass away?
Right. Exactly. That was the point I was going to make. Is
for sure.
when you think about actually owning, if you do not pay your taxes, you technically don't own a home.
Yeah.
Someone can take it from you. So I actually love the idea. You know, there's states that tax your cars where unfortunately, it's not
Which
that
is
many
wild.
states. But, you know, in those states, you don't technically ever truly own your car because, again, if you don't pay that, you know, it's not that
They
much
can take
money,
it.
but they'll take that. So I love the idea of eliminating property taxes for true ownership where you can't have that taken away. But you're right, Will. Some other pile of money is going to have to replace that missing revenue that's coming into the local municipalities.
We're paying it one way or the other. So it's just, what are they going to call it?
Yeah.
You know, unless we can get some fraud, waste, and abuse spending down, you know, that will help out on the other side, which I'm sure, unfortunately, Florida's probably got some of that somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if they're going to, you know, tackle that with kind of the current state of the economy and
Doge
current
comes to
state.
Florida.
Doge comes to Florida. Doge/FL.com. But you know, I mean, I would be a fan of that, and then shifting some things around. I just don't understand. I just got to pay more taxes for the purpose of paying more taxes because I don't feel that they go to anything that benefits me. You know, that's just my opinion. You know, I don't see it. I mean, you know, the police, fire, absolutely, things of that nature. If I see that grow, if I see that get stronger, and you know, but then I better see crime come down. I better see better response rates. I better see stuff like that. So it's you know, for me, I don't personally like thinking taxes being raised. So whether they eliminate this and add it to somewhere else, I'm going to feel the same. So I don't, you know, I don't know what they should do, to be honest with you.
Well, I was watching PBD the other day, and he was talking about the Department of Education and the amount of funding that goes to public schools. And he was showing from like 1976 to today, test scores have flatlined, and they've been the same for decades. But the amount of spending has continued to increase astronomically. So the millions and millions of dollars that are going into the educational system has not produced smarter kids. Right. So there's lots of things. It's not just where's the money coming from. It's how is it being used, and then what's your ROI? Right. We should be leading the world in math and science, and we are not. You know, we are the greatest country on the planet, but we are falling so far behind in those essential things. So it's not just where the money's coming from; it's how is it being spent. What are we going to get back from it?
Exactly, 100%. Can't spend your way out of it or through it. You got to make the money count for something.
Yep.
We need Elon to come through and do some budget cuts. That's what we do.
Well, it just kind of makes the argument that anything run by the government is going to be nowhere near as efficient as something run by, you know, private business. And you can relate that to education.
Yep, absolutely.
But you know, my last thought on this was, you know, in the article is saying, well, if they eliminate property taxes, and then it also says, well, some alternatives could be to increase property taxes on the high value properties. Well, okay, so you're only going to eliminate to a certain level, so that's like almost taxing the rich. Well, I'm not for. Or increasing corporate taxes. So if you increase corporate taxes, then corporations might not want to do business in Florida anymore.
Sure,
Like
sure.
why should we be here? So there's definitely a lot to think about of the right way for this to be effective, where we don't want to end up like California with really not thought out plan ideas and then to basically start trending in the wrong direction and losing all the great things that Florida has to offer. But an interesting article.
Very.
In Nocatee, are you guys familiar with Nocatee? So it's
Oh, yeah.
close to down where I'm in St. Johns County. There's this new community that
Prime.
is in the process of having the plans reviewed. It is a life plan community. It's a $134 million project where it's the community itself. It's like this upscale retirement community. There's different levels to get in for 62 plus and older residents. So it's not 55 plus, it's 62 plus. But the thing that's crazy about this, and I'm not real familiar with it because I'm not close to retirement age like maybe Wes is, but
That's crazy.
but
Wow.
the
Wow.
buy-in in this community, the buy-in, not the buy-in to own anything, the
Yeah.
buy-in just to get in so you can then pay monthly rent starts at $395,000 and goes up to $1 million.
Yeah.
So this massive community in Nocatee, it's for 62 plus. They're in the process of finalizing plans. It's going to be a beautiful thing that they're doing. 395,000, $1 million to get in. This thing is set to open in 2027. It will offer independent living options with luxury amenities like dining venues, fitness centers, recreation centers,
though.
and it's pretty intense, man. What do you guys think of something like this?
I think it's dope. Now obviously the money is crazy, but as exclusive you make anything, the more desirable it is. Just like we have Moose Haven over here this is not anywhere close to Moose Haven, so I'm not trying to put in that light, but Moose Haven is very desirable. People move from Michigan to come down and live in Moose Haven because it's in Florida. It's in a nice area. It's taken care of. So I think there's going to be more and more of these just because it's like the creme de la creme. I mean, if I had the kind of money, I would love my parents to live in this community. Obviously, they're probably going to be safe and all that kind of stuff, and the best security. So, I think it's a good idea, and it brings more money into Florida. So
Some more stats here. So there's going to be 2 3-story apartment buildings for independent living with 17 units planned, resident parking, storage, lobby space. There's also going to be an apartment building with many spaces for 107 units with a cafe, and then a 3-story building with 44 beds for residents requiring custodial or medical care. So there's different levels. There's those who are fully independent, and then those who need like that full-time care.
Look, there's more people, baby boomers. There's more people
Mhm.
retiring than there are anything else right now. That being the case, and depending on who's taking care of them and all that kind of stuff, they need a nice spot. I don't know if the money makes sense necessarily, but I'm all for it. Just let's keep making things better. Nicer communities, different options, different things of that nature. I mean, you go down to Daytona, you got Buffett Land or Buffettville down there. Whole Jimmy Buffett inspired community, and they've got everything from pools to restaurants to different stuff, and it's just all self-contained. And when my parents retired, they moved to Sunrise, Arizona, and kind of lived in a Del Webb community, and it was nice. Everything's self-contained. You don't have to go hardly anywhere to get access to anything that you need, medical, this, that, or the other. So, that's going to come with a cost for sure. But so I'm all for it. I think it makes sense. We need more communities like that. When I do retire, it's not because of age. It's going to be because I can make it happen, right? I'm just going
Yeah.
to retire. I don't know. I'm never going to retire. That's just the bottom line. I'm going to retire and play golf. That's what I'm going to do.
Well, bro, it's
But
up to $1 million.
We're going to build a golf course. I mean,
Yeah, man.
It's a different spin on communal living, but for a different age bracket and a different income bracket.
The best
But
of the
with
best.
that comes a tremendous amount of job creation, a tremendous amount of opportunities to come into work. I mean, you mentioned some of it: the dining venues, the cafes, the entertainment, all of the things, and it provides for the different stages of care as these individuals get older. And there's a case to be made, and they were making it, that while the entrance fee is fairly expensive, the monthly amount is actually lower than an equivalent, like say someone who is say has dementia. The monthly care for that individual to go to a place that's nowhere near as nice is actually less in one of these types of communities. And these are, like say, individuals that can afford, to pay the bill. The individual that's on, Medicare, they're not going to be able to go here. But what Medicare is currently paying to care for someone that is in an advanced, season of life that needs this type of care is paying more than what this type of place is. So again,
Okay.
can the private sector do better than the government in caring for our elderly?
Once again,
Outside
Absolutely.
of the 395 to 800,000 buy-in, right? There is a case to be made that the quality of care and the longevity of care for a more cost-effective price is being done better in the private sector.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. I feel that, and that does make sense. That does make sense. Well, if you've been following real estate and what's happening, what happened last year with the settlement with the National Associations of Realtor, there was a big, like 400 to 500 million dollar settlement when it comes to real estate commissions, and that it kind of affected that. So NAR, when they reached that settlement last year in March, is $418 million to resolve a class action lawsuit alleging that its commission structure unfairly inflates costs for home sellers. Part of the settlement that happened in August, NAR implemented changes prohibiting sellers from offering buyer broker commissions on the MLS. So you could no longer list on the MLS if you were offering a commission. So recent data from Redfin in particular shows that there was a commission remain pretty much stable at 2.37% in the fourth quarter of 2024, but there has been a slight decrease in high price homes in the home sales. So, for instance, commissions of home sales sold over 1 million or more decreased from 2.2% down to 2.17%. Not that much. So these shifts suggest that the settlement is beginning to influence commission structures, particularly in the luxury real estate market. So, well, your licensed agent, DCREs, are brokerage. What are you thinking about this data coming out? It's been essentially 3 quarters, 9 months since the settlement occurred in March, almost a year actually, when you think about it. What are your thoughts on what's happening?
So let's jump into Florida, right? Hyper local to where we function. The combined commission is still running about 5.5%, right? So that's about in line with the national average. But you go back, it's kind of one of those things. The kind of rule of thumb of the 6%, 3 and 3. That's just kind of the way that it's been for decades. Now, the one piece is that hasn't changed, but property values have increased significantly. Now, does the amount of work that an agent has to do change just because it's more expensive? Does it change over the last 20 or 30 years? Probably not. But I could make the case that if you were looking to buy a home, you should be able to afford your agent. If you can't afford your agent to help you find the home, your forever home, then maybe you're not in the right place, right? So it's always kind of been on the onus of the seller to pay that off of the equity in their home that they've built, that they've established. So I can see there needing to be space for a conversation to be had because it was never mandatory. Right. And there are still brokerages out there that do 7-8%, right? Your top end, your premium, that's what they do. But what I don't think we'll do, especially for the professional real estate agent, is going to create a space where they are willing to cut their commission fee to provide a high level of service. Because there's discount brokerages out there
All day long.
but you're not going to get the same level of attention with one of those 1% discount brokerages as you would get with a full service. They'll say they're full service, but they're not. Last night we have a client who's they're closing Friday. I was at the house last night helping them pack and move. You're not going to get that from a 1% discount market. You're not. So you don't understand truly what a real estate agent professional will do for you until you hire one that actually does for you. So, that's my ramble on that.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many variables to attribute the slight decrease in commissions to the NAR settlement. The market has just been down because of interest rates and a lot of other factors, with inflation being up. But we just need more time and data to truly understand.
Yeah, I don't think it's really affecting. What it is going to do is going to cost real estate professionals more to be associated with NAR, which is going to create an opportunity for an alternative agency to grow. You're starting to see different pockets where you don't necessarily have to align with that. So maybe it creates competition. It makes things, a little bit better because at the end of the day, you're talking about 10% max of all licensed real estate agents that are actually doing it as a career. So this is what you're talking about. And they're going to front the burden of refilling the coffers of NAR for the millions of dollars that they had to pay out because they had a bad attorney.
NAR was sitting on our money. NAR makes so much money.
Yeah.
But we're part of NAR. It's just the type of brokerage that we are, and there's obviously a lot of great stuff that comes with being with it. But
Absolutely.
It's interesting to see what's going to happen over the next couple of years, especially as Zillow and Trulia and all those online platforms gain steam. But it's just a time in real estate with the market being what it is that no one can truly predict like what the future is going to be like. The next story I want to cover, this is coming from a recent poll that UNF, University of North Florida, put together, where unsurprisingly, Florida voters prioritize housing insurance costs in 2025. So this recent poll, this public opinion poll, surveyed 871 Florida registered voters, revealing that 34% consider housing and property insurance costs as the state's most pressing issues. This concern has risen significantly from 2% in 2022 to 25%. That's a 10x plus increase in just a year later. Additionally, 21% of residents identified the economy, jobs, and inflation as major problems, while immigration and education is at 9%. So regarding homeowners insurance, 73% would choose to pay for coverage if given the option, though over 20% of homeowners indicate they might forego it due to high costs. That's a pretty significant number to basically put your whole house at risk because of the annual spend that you're paying out. So in context to the 2026 gubernatorial race, there's also some rumors that Casey DeSantis might be running for governor. So that's an interesting thing. But let's kind of stick to the topic of insurance costs are through the roof, and obviously it's become a major topic to consider for the next races, the next rounds of these election cycles.
Well, there's no doubt about it that it's going to be a concern, and the problem with the concern is that you've got, once again, government officials, and when you're talking about people that are affecting things in insurance, and then you see that some of the top officials are owning insurance companies and in the business, and and all that, it just stinks from a standpoint of rates have gone up and up and up and up. And once again, like we were talking before, what's that going to? Why are my rates continuing to go up? Oh, they're going to say storms. Oh, Florida had to pay out a lot. Man, okay, they reformed all of that. And they continually petition to raise rates, but then on top of it, they're just allowing those coffers to be refilled, and they're allowing those rates to go up. And so I have no doubt about it. I mean, us dealing in roofing, when we're talking to homeowners, the number one issue is, not necessarily from the standpoint of, I need to get my roof replaced or I need to do something, is I'm getting dropped by my insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
So they're using rates as a ploy to not only collect, but then cancel people out, make them change, make them do other things before they even can use any of the insurance that they got in the first place. And then we got that going on. And then people, even in our real estate side of things, people aren't able to sell their house because the roof is old. We check out the roof. There's nothing wrong with the roof. It's got useful life left.
Mm-hmm.
Now there are some things that are starting to happen there are some things that are starting to happen that, where things are starting to open up and more avenues are being sought after for people to be able to keep their insurance longer, because of, like, just to say the roof or whatever. But just blanketly, these rates going up, it's no doubt about, being young or being older, that, I would be number one, if I'm going to go buy a house tomorrow, I'm going to be thinking about insurance rates, and I'm going to be thinking about, the housing costs, and trying to weigh all of that. And it's a huge expense that I don't know what the answer is, but we see it every day in our business for sure, that people are shocked and just getting clobbered by these insurance rates on auto and home insurance. Auto's ridiculous.
Well, the one thing is when you look, take, I think, Tampa, for example, the median home price is up 50% pre-pandemic, right? So what happens now? The insurance company is insuring a larger dollar amount. So just off that alone, your insurance premium is going to be higher
Yeah.
because the replacement value of the home has now increased, right? So it's not, but the insurance companies do feel kind of like mafioso-esque, like, pay me for the protection or I'm going to break your legs, right? It's like kind of scary, right? But there are other factors in why it's going up. It's kind of like the property tax assessment, right? Your property taxes are going to go up because somebody says that your value is high. Now, everybody loves when their property increases when they're able to take the equity, but when it affects insurance premiums and property taxes, you got to take the good with the bad sometimes. So home affordability is a huge issue, and property insurance is one of those things that are hurting it. But there are other factors too.
Yeah, the interesting thing is with this article that I just mentioned, with cost of auto and home insurance being one of the number one concern. Just recently, in our next article, is DeSantis announces that both home and auto rates are getting a cut. So this is attributing to legislative reforms going back to 2019. So DeSantis, back on February 5th, earlier this month, he says home insurance rates are going to decrease by 5.6%, and auto rates reducing by 10.5%. So pretty significant, because these numbers are a lot higher. With citing that 11 new carriers have entered the Florida market in the last 2
Yeah,
years.
that's the key right there. That's the key. All these, they allowed so many things to go wrong. They allowed these agencies to just automatically file for solvency, and the whole thing was, is a lot of these companies didn't file bankruptcy, and they basically took out all their primo policies, that high rate policies, people that were, they wanted to keep. Then they took everybody else, and basically were able to get rid of those, and then not issue any new insurance. So technically everybody thinks they left the state. No, they kept premium policies in place, and and everybody else then had to go shop. And so, as all these companies weren't coming in, nobody wanted to write home insurance, because people, they were expensive and people didn't want to pay for them. And then they were like, changing all the rules of how you get insurance. It was a bad combination. So it's good to see some insurance companies now want to come back into the market. Whether those reductions are going to be long term or not, it will be, we'll see. But it's good to see some of those rates come down. We'll see, as we get our renewals. I guess we'll find out if they're going to really
we'll see.
contribute to our bills being lower. But I think the key is absolutely is find a way for more insurance agencies to come here and feel comfortable to write business, because that's what's going to ultimately allow rates to stabilize, maybe even come down, because there's going to be more there's going to be more people writing insurance, more competition.
Yeah, for sure.
Instead of citizens owning all the insurance policies and basically controlling the market, which is state ran, which is just another recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I have a
overall.
personal story 100% related to this. So a family member of mine recently got a letter from Citizens saying 2 private carriers are an option. So we're moving you off of our Citizens plan, and here are 2 carriers, never heard of them before, with rates that actually seem really good, really affordable, and it's a decent sized house. So you're seeing it, and this definitely lines up to what DeSantis was saying in his February 5th event that he had. Man, that's a crazy, man. Like insurance, these topics, a lot of things happening. But as we wrap up the show, man, what do you guys, what's your outlook and your thoughts on, like, kind of the local economy, the state economy, and everything that's happening?
For me, I mean, I answer for single male. You know what I mean? Like obviously, I have families and multiple levels of income and things like that. But for me, it's actually it's a bit difficult because you have to make so much money to just have a decent life. And I'm not saying that like you have to go make six figures. I'm not saying that, but you have to, man, think about like auto insurance to get a good car to drive and get to work. You're paying on that, man. All the premiums, man. And I was looking at it said insurance companies made over $300 billion. But then it's only 10 to 15% of the people who are insured actually made a claim of any sort. So how much money they're just pocketing money at this point, which I get. We live in a capitalist society, so make as much money as you will. But when it comes to some of these things, it's just, man, I want to see a turn. Now, obviously, are we going to change, you know, minimum wage, and are we going to bring that down? Is housing going to go down? I don't know if any of those things are going to go down. I think they're probably just going to keep rising and going up. But one thing I would say about our economy now is there is more. It's the best time to be an entrepreneur. It's the best time to probably go and do side work and side business and to gain traction, financially in your own world. But like as a single male, it's like, man, you got to grind. You really got to grind to get to where you want to be,
Yeah.
or to even show up to a place to where, man, you have some level of competence to go and find a single lady that says, "Hey, you want to come in?" You know what I mean? So it's like, so I know everyone in my age bracket right now, they're just grinding. I mean, every time I call them or we're doing, they're in between a job, they're in between something. Hey, man, I just gotta, work on my credit. I gotta do all this stuff. So it's definitely, the economy is great. I think it's for the takers. Is those, if you want it, you can get it, you can grab it. But there's no better a time now to invest in yourself. So to invest in, what's out there.
I'll say this and then see what you guys think. But the one thing that I don't see anybody spending time to talk about, and even you're just you're talking about you got to grind just to survive and do this and do that. Is that you know you're gonna grind, and then what did you do to set yourself up
For
for the
sure.
future retirement?
Yeah.
And that's the biggest piece that I see is missing with anybody. I mean, we've got a great culture here at the company. We do a lot of training. We
For
talk
sure.
to our guys,
100%.
and I hear it out of their mouths. They're worried about next week's paycheck.
Mhm.
Sometimes they're worried about the house that they want to save up for to buy, or the car that they need to save up for to buy. And nobody's talking about, I've got some extra money to go ahead and put away,
For
have
sure,
it
man.
grow, set myself up, and nobody's teaching that. Let alone now you could make enough. You got to make a lot of extra money to be able to feel comfortable to put that money aside, and still enjoy your life while you've got time.
Yeah.
Nobody knows how much time they have, right? So that's why I think that as the economy's doing good, and you hear, oh, people are spending and all that kind of stuff, man, they're spending themselves in debt. Debt rates are higher than ever. Credit card rates, I mean, don't get me started on credit card rates. That's another just legalized extortion. But people aren't
Sure.
as well thinking about the future, this younger generation, and that's why I see a big missing piece in our economy is putting something together that helps people build for long term, not just
100%.
how we're going to survive and buy $6 dozen eggs tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I under 100% agree with what you're saying, but I would throw a different spin on it, right? I would say I wish somebody would have told me 30 years ago to start investing in myself and create a life
Mhm.
that I don't want to retire from,
Oh man.
right? You know what I'm saying? Like, because
Yeah, bro.
Elon ain't never going to retire,
Right.
Yeah.
right? Why? Not all of us are going to be Elon, but you can find a passion.
I'm gonna
you
be the
can
black
find a
Elon.
career. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, find something
man.
that you love doing and do it well.
Yeah.
And show up and do it well.
Mhm.
Create an environment that create a life that you just don't ever want to retire from.
Yeah.
Like, wow, I don't want to quit doing this. This is amazing.
For sure.
You
Yeah.
know?
Right.
Yeah, there's this quote I want to read, and I know it's to what we're speaking to, but it says, "Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times."
Yep.
Like, and that's such a great quote. I love that quote because, you know, we're in a season where I think, you know, we have to be great men, but also leave something great for, our our legacy
Mhm.
family. I was talking with Scott a few weeks back, and he was talking about, man, what he's going to leave, to leave for his kids, and it got really personal because it's like, man, like as much as we can build this empire, and man, sales teams thriving, everything's thriving, everything's doing well, just then say, man, okay, what am I gonna leave for, my kids? And he was like, oh, maybe, they're not probably gonna do this, probably that they may do this. And you can see his mind shift to talk about this with such passion because ultimately, weak men, what they think about themselves, they think about what's, is gonna fulfill them for today, and they leave shambles for somebody to come and pick up. But obviously our desire as men of faith and men of business and entrepreneurs is to leave, man, make a huge mark right now, but we leave room for the next generation to make even a bigger mark on our last names. You know what I'm saying? So
Preach it. Preach it.
I like
Love
it.
Love it. Well, there you have it. DeVore Live brought to you by DeVore Media, sponsored by DeVore Capital Group. You know what to do. This is Scott Free and the crew. Like, share, and subscribe, and catch us next time on DeVore Live.